Hello, friends. Happy Wednesday. Hope your day's going great. I haven't gone live in a few days, but honestly, it's been nice to have a little break from social media. But let's jump right into it. We are starting chapter 50 in the book Essential Truths of the Christian Faith by R.C. Sproul. My son just got up from a nap and he is sitting right over there in the bed. So if he jumps on this video, I'm really sorry. Bear with me. So let's jump right in today. Let's jump right into it. The chapter that we're going to be discussing today, the title is Sin. And sin is a big deal because we need to know even the definition of sin, what sin is and what sin is not. Because again, sin is what actually drove us away from God. And we were the ones who committed the sin. We were the ones who initiated this separation because of sin. So let's jump right into it. And let's see here what R.C. Sproul has to say. So it says sin can be pictured as an archer releasing an arrow from his bow and missing the target. It is not, of course, that failure to hit the bullseye in target shooting is a grave moral matter. So he's saying just because you miss a target doesn't mean that that's like morally wrong. No. Rather, the simplest biblical definition of sin is to miss the mark. All right, biblically, that's what it means, that we miss the mark when we sin. In biblical terms, the mark that is missed is not a target filled with straw. It is the mark or the norm of God's law. That is what we miss when we sin. Okay, God's law expresses his own righteousness and is the ultimate standard of our behavior. The laws that God has given us is actually his grace towards us because he's letting us know how he wants to be loved. He's showing us grace and showing us a path, meaning he cares for us and he wants us to glorify him, to live a life that glorifies him. So in his grace, he says, this is me as a holy God, what my standards are. That is his grace for us. And that is our standard. That is the law. Okay. So that is, like I said, his own righteousness and is the ultimate standard for our behavior. When we miss achieving this standard, we sin. Meaning when we cannot keep the law and we miss it and we do something else, that's a sin. Okay, the Bible speaks of the universality of sin in terms of missing the mark of God's glory. All right, Romans 3:28, it says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." It doesn't say some, it doesn't say most, it says all. Everybody. If you are a human being, if you have a heart that's beating, if you have skin, if you are able to talk, if you're able to breathe, if you are a human being, all right, you have sinned. I have sinned against God. To say that nobody's perfect or to err is human. You know, people say, well, to err is human, all right, is to acknowledge the universality of sin. We are all sinners in need of redemption. So we know this. This is something that's common for everybody. Everybody knows that humans are not perfect. People say, well, to err is human. Nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? We are aware of the fact that we are not perfect. We are aware of the fact that we are sinful. Everybody, even atheists, understand this, that we are not perfect. Okay? Sin has been defined as any want of conformity unto or transgression any law of God given as a rule to a reasonable creature. In this definition, there are three crucial dimensions. First, sin is a lack or want of conformity. It is a non-conformity to the law of God, meaning I don't want to do it. I don't want to conform to God's law. Okay, that is a sin right there, not wanting to do God's law. Then you have the sin of omission. The sin of omission is failure to do what God commands. So you say, well, I'm not purposely trying to break the law, but I just don't want to do it. Again, you are not doing what we are called to as humans, so you are sinning. If God commands us to love our neighbor and we fail to do so, that is a sin. So if we are commanded to do something and we don't do it, that's a sin of omission. meaning we are commanded to do something and we don't do it. That is a sin. All right. Second, sin is defined as a transgression of the law. To transgress the law is to cross its boundaries, to overstep its limits. Hence, we sometimes describe sin as a trespass. These are different definitions, but the same definition in that sense, right? Because we're not obeying the law. A, because we just like the first one, we just don't want to do it. Or B, like this one, is that we go overstep our limits. All right, that's also sin. Hence, we sometimes describe sin as a trespass. Like I said, we walk where we are not permitted to walk. So again, it's a trespass because we are told not to do something and we do it. All right, so sin of omission, we are told to do something and we don't do it. That's a sin. Or we are told not to do something and we trespass that. We do it. All right. For example, you shall not. All right, here we speak of sins of commission, whereby we commit actions prohibited by God. When God's law is pronounced in negative terms, meaning you shall not, and we do what is disallowed, we commit a sin. And the third one, sin is an action. Sin is an action performed by reasonable creatures. As creatures made in the image of God, we are free moral agents. Because we have a mind and a will, we are capable of moral actions, meaning we can make decisions that have a moral impact in our lives. When we do what we know is wrong, we choose to disobey God's law and sin. When we openly do something that we know that God doesn't want us to do. All right. Protestantism, meaning the Protestant faith, rejects the classic distinction of Roman Catholic theology. All right. And here we're going to talk about the two types of sin that the Roman Catholic Church talks about. All right. For example, the first one, there's a difference between venial, venil, and moral. All right. So in the Catholic faith, you have two types of sin, venial and moral. Traditional Catholic theology defines a moral sin as a sin that kills grace in the soul. All right. And requires renewed justification through the sacrament of penance. A venial sin is a sin of less serious source. It does not destroy saving grace. So they believe in venial and mortal. Mortal, yeah. Venial are just those little sins that really don't make a difference. But venial are those serious ones that really do have a moral effect on you. But we know the Bible says that all sins are moral sins, every single one of them. Whether I'm told to do something and I don't, whether I trespass and I do something I'm not supposed to, white lies, etc. Those are all sins in front of God. But they have different consequences, yes. But that we will talk about tomorrow. Okay, so think about that. Again, if you have any questions about anything that I'm saying, private message me. We'll talk about it together. But tomorrow we'll finish up the chapter on sin. All right, guys, have an amazing day. Love you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.